Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And thanks guys for joining us today and welcome to our show.
Yeah, we got AVT and PAT. They talking about young Americans overseas. We got McKennie, Pulisic, Reyna, and Des. Got that red, white, and blue. USA on the crest from England, Germany, from Belgium to Spain. Racking up all the medals on the trophy train. Got one thing on their mind, with skill and some love. One day we can say we will win the World Cup.
Well, guys, we are back today, and Pat, we are so excited, right? We qualified for the World Cup.
We did. Oh, yeah, we did. It might not have been in great fashion, Austin, with that loss. It kind of had me salty at the end. I'm glad we did a pre-game live stream, but then I took some time to calm down. We were texting each other, realized, okay, you know what? It's a long journey. We actually qualified. Disaster did not strike like in Cuba, and it's good to put that behind us, right?
Yeah, I felt like that night was all about winning the war and not the battle. So,
Ooh, good point there.
We lost the game, but hey, we made the World Cup, which was our ultimate goal, right? Kind of resurrecting our team from where it was 4 years ago, and really just creating a big opportunity for us to showcase our team, what we're building here in the U.S. and all the players that we've come accustomed to watching over the past few years. So yeah, I'm so excited, Pat. And I know we had the draw literally on Friday, and we're going to talk about that kind of a little bit later in our show. But there's just so much positivity last week, right? It just felt like, we always talk about it, right? Like we're pushing towards an ultimate goal, right? We want to win the World Cup one day, but just getting back there, this time around is such a meaningful moment, right? It really is something we took for granted, before this cycle. And now that, we had it taken away from us, we finally were able to get it back again. It just feels like some sense of vindication, right? Like we're building right in the right direction again.
Yeah.
The train's on the track.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And with that, right, it was just even with the draw and everything like that, and just seeing how hard our players are worked, when we started this show and these young YAAs that we've been covering and seeing them really grow with top level clubs. And yeah, it's just and again, not to take from Berhalter, right, but just kind of changing the way people view U.S. soccer. And I think when you look back at even our past World Cup teams, even that team, that we had that failed to qualify, right, just the level, the dual Nats recruited, the culture we've started to build, the young energy and hype around the program. It's really, really exciting. And I think it's just a great way to, again, showcase. And then really for that 2026 when we're hosting, I mean, it's going to be special, right? But I won't get too far ahead of ourselves, right? So 2022 first. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, where the direction of U.S. soccer.
Yeah, and to get into a little bit here, on Friday we learned the teams were going to be playing in the group stage, and there is some left to be determined, right, Pat? There's an interesting tri-headed team there in that final slot. So to go into it a little bit, the first team that popped up for us was England. They were the pot one team that came up, and honestly, Pat, I thought that was a pretty good draw out of all the other teams we could have played, right? We had Brazil was in pot one. I think Portugal, right? Argentina was in pot one. France was in pot one. Germany was actually in two, right? So, there was just, a few other teams that I feel like we just didn't match up well with, right? Like some of those South American teams are really tough to play against, just a lot different of a style, a lot different of a, atmosphere and taking those teams on, a lot bigger stature, I would say, or just, a lot of teams obviously have history, but some of those South American teams like a Brazil, like an Argentina, it's just so much more important in the World Cup, right? And those countries really come out swinging in these tournaments. And again, not to take anything away from England, but I think it's a team we know, right? And it's a team that the players know. It's a team that's had some success in an international tournament. So I think that could play into our hands a little bit. Maybe they've gotten a little bit complacent because of that. And yeah, I just think, that was a really, really interesting team to see pop up. The next team that came up was Iran, which again, Pat, we can talk about them a little bit. here in a second. And then, the final slot was, again, that selection of 3 teams, right? So obviously you have either Wales or Scotland or Ukraine, who still have yet to play kind of their, playoff game to get into the World Cup. So I think with those 3 teams, there's a lot of different, ways it could go, right? I feel comfortable playing against a Wales or a Scotland. I think Ukraine is a really tough team, just based on their talent. I think they have a really talented team. Obviously, they have so much going on right now with, the conflict that's going on over there, and them not playing any games since I think mid-February, late February. So, that's a really, really interesting dynamic for this group as well. But just want to get your initial thoughts, Pat. I know I went into a little bit of a deep dive there on England real quick, but before we start talking about these teams at length, I just wanted to get your initial reactions to the draw. What do you think?
No, and I'm glad you went into that, right? It's just exciting, even the draw, to be so pumped for that again. I'm happy with the group. Initial reaction, excited, right? Because it's such a, in terms of soccer, in terms of just history, right, of the world, that the U.S., England, just that rivalry, right, and just kind of the bragging rights there, I think is really exciting. And not to take any of the other teams lightly, but it's a pretty balanced group. And I would just say in general, a lot of balance throughout. You could maybe say Mexico is pretty difficult, but a lot of balance throughout, especially in our group, where you really do see a pathway to the knockout stages, right? So England will be a true test, and I think we'll embrace that kind of American grit, underdog mentality with that game, and just really show up to the level. And then again, obviously you have that unique situation with Ukraine, and then obviously Scotland and Wales. So we'll see what happens with that. I think we won't really find out until maybe June. I think that's the tentative time frame for those games. So
it's sounding like right now.
So that's interesting, right? But again, I think my initial reaction is awesome. Just excited, kind of and relieved in a way that it's not like every difficult team, right? And that at least we have a chance to get to the knockout.
Yeah, and we talked about it, on our live shows last week. We also talked about it, I think, on our episode the week before. We really wanted a group that was balanced. Like you said, we wanted a group that had, an opponent or 2 in there that were really going to challenge us and really make us fight to get to that knockout round. But also, again, not have the group of death, right? Like, we want our boys to really prove it and show people what they can do. And again, have that platform to reach the knockout round and have a pathway, like you said. So I was really, I think you even said the word relieved when I saw the draw. I thought, again, England is a pretty good pot 1 team to get. And then Iran was one of the easier pot 3 teams. So, I think we'll have to wait for that last, team and see who it is. But overall, I think, we should be looking. What do you think, based on, again, what we know right now? 4, 5, 6 points, somewhere in there? I think 5 points would be great, and I think that, again, would secure us a spot in the knockout round. But what is your take?
I think you said it too when we were before we were filming here, 4th minimum, but I think we can get more than that. I think, again, that first game against whatever the European playoff game, I think that's huge. That kind of sets the tone. If we can get a big win there, might not be as much pressure, but I think we can draw England and even give them a run for money, maybe pull an upset. Because again, that last game against Iran, right? A team you still can't take lightly. They dominated Asian qualifying. They had a really good goal record. They have some tricky players that, again, you don't know too much about the team, but I think a few of them play over in Greece and some other leagues here. I don't know if it's Athens or Olympiacos or one of those teams I was looking at, but that's kind of a trap game at the end, right? So you kind of want to, again, even how we were looking at Costa Rica, obviously different scenario, and we seem to be okay with the goal difference to qualify. But if things were different in that Panama game, that could have spelled trouble for us, right? So I don't know. I just wouldn't leave it till the end, even if it is Iran.
Yeah, that's a great point too, Pat. And I fully agree with you. I think that Iranian team is a lot better than people expect, or will be a lot better than people expect. They're close to the top 20 in FIFA rankings, which again, FIFA rankings aren't the most tried and true, but I really think there's some good players on that team, and they're going to show up for this opportunity, right? You said, what, they were undefeated in Asian Cup qualifying, right? That was going up against teams like Japan, South Korea.
Yeah, there's some decent teams in there.
Yeah, which is just so impressive. So, fair play to them for doing that. And again, it's a really good test for our boys. I think, again, health is going to be a key, right, in the World Cup. And obviously we can't rely on every single player in our pool being healthy at this moment in time. So it's really going to be about who can step up, make the most of this opportunity. It's going to be a quick turnaround time from coming from clubs to, Qatar, right? It sounds like it's going to be about a week. We play on that very first day of competition. So you're talking about a week to come together, rally, as a team, and really, again, prove to, the nation, right? Prove to the people that are watching what the progress we've made is over the past 4 years, and again, just show people what we're working to build in this country, and working to change that mindset. I think it's a really good opportunity, but
yeah,
a lot of hard work ahead.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Austin. I'm just really excited, for us all, right, as fans here. Right. I think we said it too, and sometimes you end the show with it, not to get too far down, right? So stay with us, guys. But usually you'll say, one day we'll qualify for the World Cup, which we have now, and one day we'll win, right? So we're taking some steps there.
That's right. Exactly.
I guess we should kind of dive into some of the players, right? Because it's important, that whether these players are pushing the envelope to join the World Cup team, right? Just staying in hot form, making sure everyone's playing well, injury free, and a player that's been in tremendous form but hasn't gotten the time here with the national team is CCV, Austin. So kind of jumping in there, right, over at Celtic, he's had an interesting journey throughout his time that we've covered him, and it's just great to see him almost kind of find, again, a home on loan. But we've seen some Americans have success at Celtic, and he, over this past weekend, right, had the game winner in the Old Firm rivalry against Rangers, who was pretty close to them in the standings. I think now they pulled 6 points ahead and got man of the match. So I think he scored in the 42nd minute, like I said. The ball's bobbling around the box, and he was, in there, obviously, for the corners, and slotted it through the goalie. I think it was just bounced around, and he just put his boot through it, right, his laces through it. And that makes 4 goals for him on the season too for Celtic, which is pretty good as a center back, right? But I think it's him and Starfelt have had a really solid center back partnership, throughout his time at Celtic in the league. Again, first dominating things there. I think the lowest goals allowed in the league. So no surprise with Celtic, but it's great to see him, Austin, just getting game time, right? Over 2,500 minutes, being so consistent. And just another option, right, that maybe Greg Berhalter really can't ignore anymore.
Yeah, and that's been the most, really positive thing for me is just the amount of minutes he's played. Over 2,500 minutes, right? Like that's significant game time, and he's someone who has gotten game time on loan. He's been to a lot of teams in the championship, but just again, finding success consistently with this Celtic team, I think, is so important for him. And it's really just, again, a testament to him as a player, still sticking with it, right? A lot of players could get discouraged going out on loan so many times, not having teams maybe trust in your abilities. And yeah, he's come to Celtic, had a great attitude about it, and has really just tried to improve, each game of the season. And this was a huge game, right, Pat? Like, this is, top of the table, Celtic versus Rangers, the biggest rivalry in Scotland, and to play the hero on the day, that's such a cool experience for him. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm so happy for him, and with these performances, Austin, he's been having, he's attracting a lot of attention, even at Celtic, right? They really obviously want to keep him, but he's kind of climbing up there in the price. There's been some rumors. Anywhere for offers, right, to Tottenham, from 7 to 10 million pounds, right, in that general area. But even over at the Premier League, right, Burnley struggling there, but Leicester City, the ex, Celtic boss and Liverpool boss, right, Brendan Rodgers, as well as Wolves. So some interesting teams kind of flying around there. I think would be a great level to jump to. But you brought up an interesting point, kind of, again, what should CCV do? He's getting great game time at Celtic. There are some rumors flying around, but obviously it's just consistency, right? Playing high-level minutes. So wanted to get your take, Austin. Should he, stay, right? Or kind of sign with Celtic? Or should he go to another team in the Premier League?
I think if he can stay, he should stay. I really think it's tough to find a place where you fit in. It's tough to find a place where you play so well at. And again, kind of like Jordan Pefok, right? A player who has really gotten that game time, really has thrust himself into a starting position. And I think he needs just some time to again, get that confidence built up underneath him. And again, get the eyes on him, right? He's getting a lot of recognition for how he's playing right now. And I think it's there's that old it's like a trial or an experiment, right? If you have that confidence or someone instills that confidence into you, you kind of rise to the level of their expectations.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what's happening here, and the same with Jordan Pefok. And for that reason, I think both of them should kind of stay put for the time being and just live in this success. And we'll see what happens this summer. I really think he does have I think he should get an opportunity this summer. I think he's got a lot of I think he's earned the right to be considered for the World Cup and considered to be called up for the World Cup. So yeah, I think this summer, if he can get called up for a series that we play or whatnot, get some minutes, show Greg Berhalter what he can do. He's a very physical center back who looks to be getting better with his feet, better, again, confidence, a little bit better passing this year. So if he can show that he's taken that next step and play in that national team environment, then hey, maybe bigger things come calling for him after the World Cup. So yeah, that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah, no, I think you said it well, and I couldn't agree more. And just kind of the depth that we're getting in that position too, I think it's just great to have the competition. And again, I think I brought up off camera, just quickly wanted to say before we transition, in terms of McKenzie, right, who's in and around, right, he's a great locker room guy, kind of leader, had that move over to Belgium, but staying at Celtic, right, I don't think it's too far off from some of the teams in the level in Belgium. Celtic, right, your Champions League qualifiers, the Europa League primarily, right, you're getting through those group stages and the knockouts potentially, and again, top of the league, again, Scotland's not, a cakewalk, right? Obviously there's some lower teams in the bottom, but I'd say top 3, 4 even, pretty good in terms of level in Europa League traditionally. So not a bad place to be, and then just rooting for CCV, right? We talk about him week in and week out, a lot of quick kicks, but he's really stepping up.
Yeah, I can't say anything more. He's a really good story this year, and someone to keep an eye on. So I think with that, we'll transition into our next topic for today, and that would be Jesse Marsch over at Leeds United. So, we were kind of keeping up with Jesse Marsch right when he started at Leeds. I don't think we've talked about him now for a few weeks or so. Obviously, we had the international window last week. So, I feel like it's good to check back in on them and see where they're at. And, this weekend they picked up another really good result for them. They went up against Southampton, another team that's kind of, mid to lower in the table there in the Premier League. And they were able to get 1 point out of it. They were able to get a draw. So, that makes it now 7 points in 3 games. So obviously we talked about the other 2 wins, right? They had that big, comeback win over Wolverhampton, awesome. Right? That was a pretty big one. And then they had another win before that. But obviously, again, Jesse Marsch has really got this team, on the same page. He's getting some of his players back from injury. Calvin Phillips returned in this game over the weekend, which is a huge get back for them. He's such an important player for their team. And now they're sitting 8 points ahead of, the last relegation team, Watford. So they're really, in a good spot right now. I don't want to say they're comfortable, because there's still, some work to do this year, but overall it's been a really good start to the Jesse Marsch era at Leeds United. And again, after, some of those first few games where things didn't really go his way, didn't really go the team's way, we were kind of nervous, right? But now it seems like some of those nerves have cooled, and things are starting to return to business as normal for Leeds.
Yeah, I was so nervous, and I was almost, I think I was talking to you about it. Just the nerves of, is this another Swansea Bradley like disaster waiting to happen? And thank goodness, right? Again, not saying too early, but things are going well, right? They're progressing in the right direction. Their schedule's about to get a lot harder, but they can have points where they need to, right? Because it's pretty funky with COVID and some of the other schedule changes that some teams have like 3 games less played. And so it's hard to kind of look at the points and realize, but it's still pretty tight.
Yeah, and honestly, you hit it right on the head. Like, they need to pick up as many points as they can right from the jump. And we knew that going into Jesse Marsch's hire, right? And we covered that in the first few episodes of him, being at Leeds. And that's what they've been able to do, right? 7 points in 3 games. That's nothing to laugh at for a team that was sitting in the relegation position or, just outside for pretty much the entire season. And their biggest game, I would say, out of all these ones they've just played, is this coming Saturday. They go up against Watford. That's the team that's in what, 18th place right now in the Premier League. So that's a team that if they can beat them, again, that'll help them gain some distance on relegation, but that will also keep Watford kind of in that place and really again show that they're a team that deserves to stay in the Premier League. So I think, after this weekend, we can kind of take a look and see, where they're at, what the scenarios are. And I think, if things go the way they should go, right, if they're able to pick up some points in that game, then I really think, Leeds will be in a great spot. Jesse Marsch will be able to kind of breathe again a little bit. But again, looking ahead at their schedule, right? They have a game against Chelsea that's been postponed until later in the season. They also play Man City. They play Arsenal. And then they have some other, away games against some other, mid-level teams, I would say, in the Premier League. So, yeah, it doesn't get much easier. And again, it's good that they picked up the points when they needed to. So, yeah, I'm excited, Pat. I think it's a really positive start for Jesse. I'm so excited just to see, him adapt to the Premier League. And it's really been seamless, in my opinion. I think he's really enjoyed kind of the media scrutiny he's had right from the start. We know he's someone who's really well-spoken, well-thought, in what he says and kind of how he builds that team chemistry. And so far, it doesn't seem to me that he's out of his element. It seems like he's kind of, really taken to life in the Premier League. And I think that's a really positive thing. It's good to see him be comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. He's just, impressing me, game by game, in just terms of his managerial career, especially in Europe, right? With kind of the highs, right? Salzburg, the lows with Leipzig and just kind of coming here to this situation. So, yeah, again, I'm knocking on wood here, Austin, but if he can get through, if they can survive the money that they'll have, staying in the Premier League, the ability to really get a full preseason under his belt, get the players, implement the system, right? Without this kind of last minute scrambling time. I think the sky's the limit for him, right? Who knows? Maybe they'll make a Leicester run for the title. First American, right, manager to win the Premier League. But no, I'm getting too far ahead. But, you can certainly dream, right? But I think Jesse has his team trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I am excited to see what happens, in the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we should move on to, our next player here topic, and that's Flo or Valérien Balogun, right? So he is obviously trying that is in huge demand and just in tremendous form for Middlesbrough. So this past game he started again. He's been getting a lot of game time, which is fantastic, and actually scored. A really nice kind of late back, post run there. Where the goalie, I don't know, maybe could have done better, but it was a pretty decent ball between the goalie and the back line, where, again, Valérien just coolly, calmly put the ball in the back corner there, made that darting run, and yeah, I think he's had now 3 goals now in the last 4 appearances. Maybe even more as you're looking at kind of the international, right, the youth levels to even the championship games. So yeah, he's really finding the back of the net in tremendous form and catching the eyes, right, of Miguel Arteta at Arsenal. He's catching the eyes of Nigeria, right, England, right. He's obviously playing with the USAF there, the US. So this is a man in demand, right, and a man full of confidence. And like we've been saying, it's great to kind of see him get through those struggles. It's tough as a loanee sometimes, but especially with a team that's right in 5th, kind of on the cusp there of getting back, to the Premier League. So to see him leading the charge there and making such an impact is really exciting, especially from a US standpoint too.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked about him so much over the past year and a half. And yeah, I'm just really excited. He's starting to take to life in the championship. He's starting to score goals. He's starting to get more consistent playing time. And then you saw him again with the English youth team there, the U21s. He was able to get on the score sheet as well. And I really just think, we saw him kind of early January struggle to adapt to the championship. There's some quotes out, right, that talked about him kind of, it took time for him to adapt to the level of play, right, and the pace of play. So I really feel like we're starting to see him, get through that adaptation and really get his feet under him now at the professional level. And again, I think the sky's the limit with him, right? You referenced a great example of a player who, went down a similar path or just a player who, had to put in his time at some of these smaller teams. And, now is a really, really talented player. So I don't know, Pat, do you want to go into that real quick?
Yeah. I mean, maybe not exact position, but just thinking when we were talking Mason Mount too, where he went with Dwayne Holmes, I think he was actually a teammate with. And even I think was it the time where Lampard was like a managerial player type combo or something odd like that.
He was a manager. Yeah. And he was also at Vitesse too with, our boy, Matt Miazga over there.
That's right. Yeah. Old Matt there. So just in terms of the path, right? And Valerian's only 20, Austin. So you still have to think about that and how much game time and experience he's had training with Arsenal. To U23. So that is a huge step. And a point that you brought up was really important is time to adapt, the pace of play, things like that. He even said in an interview, you really can't have those lapses, right? Some of the U23, some of those lower level games, you can kind of take your foot off the gas, have a few errors and things like that, and then eventually come back to it, right? But having much less time on the ball, having to think things through faster, almost see it kind of as a game of chess and thinking ahead a little bit more strategically, quickly, right? As things are transpiring on the pitch. So all those, I guess, things to think about, right? All those factors, he's, had to deal with, right? And to be honest, kind of struggled with initially, but, really put his head down, worked really hard, has a great work ethic, as well as the skill and intelligence to now you see what he's doing, right, on the pitch. So this goal is scored from the left wing, right? He's traditionally in that center forward position, but having that flexibility is also important too in his career. So, it's just amazing what he's been able to do and adapt to. And again, he's only 20.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm holding out hope, right? I think, Yunus Musa played with him right at Arsenal in the youth academy. We're playing England in the World Cup. So wouldn't it be a really fairy tale ending to have him get invited to the World Cup? Maybe ends the season hot here, starts the season hot next year, and, scores against England to win us the game. That'd be pretty cool.
You've been on the Balogun train, Austin. You're like the lead recruiter for him. So, all over to our side,
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'll do my best, Pat. I'll do my best. But yeah, I think with that, we want to move into our final topic for today. And we're finally ending on a positive note. I feel like, recently with some of the injury news, some of the form some of our players have been in, it's been a little bit of a doom and gloom. Obviously, going to the World Cup, that, is such an awesome feeling and such an awesome topic as well. But we want to end on a positive note today. And our last topic is, Weston McKennie. Sounds like he's going to be back for the end of Juventus's season. And I'm pumped, Pat. We talk about how just awesome of a player Weston McKennie is, right? He's really so talented in a lot of different areas of the game. And, I feel like this injury is really proving that, maybe he's not human. Maybe he's more of a cyborg.
Yeah, I'm looking at my devices here. Yeah, he's a cyborg for sure. I mean, I don't know how somebody recovers that quickly, and seeing it to when we were talking about what actually was the injuries he had, right? That's pretty brutal, especially for a soccer player. So it's amazing to see him in great spirits. The recovery is going really well, and yeah, I think what Austin expects at minimum to be back fully training with Juventus and at minimum, right? But expecting to play. So that'll be an important time to wrap things up. And then right before the Nations League and just getting game time, right, with the US. So he was such a key player. He was someone we really, really sorely missed. But it's just exciting to see him kind of, again, working through the recovery process so rapidly.
Yeah, and we've seen him come back quick from other injuries too, right? Like
That's
over
true,
the years, we've seen him get injured, but then be back, a few weeks later. And for this injury, he broke his foot, right? This is no small injury. That's a pretty serious injury for a soccer player specifically. And the original diagnosis said he was supposed to be out for 12 weeks. This happened right around the end of February, I want to say. So, that really put him out basically into May. And again, Juventus' season ends kind of mid-May. So if he's not back before, early part of May, late April, which now it sounds like he will be, there's really no reason to play him in those games.
Yeah, that's true.
Without training under his belt and all that, the other thing before summer, before the World Cup. So I think, yeah, it's just really awesome that, he's able to get back in the time he's been able to get back. And again, it comes at a great time for Juve as well, right? They just lost against Inter this weekend, 1-0. So that kind of hurt their chances at winning Serie A this year. I know that dream seemed far-fetched right from the start of the season, but they're really in a good spot now. They're sitting in fourth right now. I believe they have we just looked it up, Pat. I can't believe I forgot. They have, I think, 59 points, and the first place team has 67. The first place team is AC Milan, with Zlatan over there.
Milan and Inter are doing pretty well in Serie A.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, right? Like, who would have thought that, AC Milan with Zlatan, Olivier Giroud, they have Rafael Leao kind of leading the line as well up there, would be in first place in Serie A, towards the end of the season. Yeah, it's such a weird team, and Napoli's right behind them too. Inter is kind of close as well. But Juve sit 8 points back right now, so I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to really make ground. They really needed to win that game against Inter this weekend to give them some more hope. So at the end of the day, I still think they're in a good spot though. They sit in fourth. 5 points ahead of fifth place Roma. Also Atalanta could be in that fifth place if they win their game in hand. So 5 points ahead of Europa League position and firmly in that Champions League position, I think is a really great place to be right now in the season, and such a testament to what Massimo Allegri has been able to do, right? That team brought in Dusan Vlahovic, mid-season. He's been such a revelation for them, right? Not only scoring goals, but also setting up chances. He's just really been a great addition to the team, and someone I'm really excited to see Weston McKennie play with. And I think, just having him back for the last few, games of the season is going to be really big for them and hopefully help them confirm and, secure that Champions League position.
Yeah. And that's the important thing too, right? Maybe they're not going to win, Serie A, right? But being in the Champions League, right, for McKennie and company, he's that caliber of player. To see him on that stage, I think is really important. So it's great to see, right, the kind of transition Juventus is having. Being able to stay kind of in that fourth spot, and obviously they're going to make sure in the next season too, right, that hey. we were a team that's won it, 6, 7, whatever years in a row, and we're going to get back there, right? So if you're not making a cut, you've seen some players, right, revolving door in and out. Kulusevski gone, just McKennie's been that staple, right? He's really proved how valuable he is in the tangibles that he has as a player. So it's great to see him kind of part of this new era to get back to that title-winning Juventus.
Yeah, and speaking real quick of titles, they're also in the Coppa Italia. So I think they have one more leg to play in their semifinal match with Fiorentina. So if they win that game, I think they're up 1-0 right now in the tie. So if they win, that second leg and, secure their spot in the final, that's another trophy opportunity for Weston McKennie. So, he's going to be wanting to play in that game. Again, really help the team finish out the season strong. And yeah, it sounds like he's going to do just that. So we're really excited to see him back on the pitch. I know he's been making the rounds with some of the, those interviews he's been a part of, which has been really fun to see. And we wish nothing but the best for him. So I think that'll conclude our first part of our episode today. Now let's head over to quick kicks.
All right, guys, it's my favorite time of the show. I know it's yours, and I don't think I have to ask Austin anymore, right? I don't think so. It's none other than quick kicks.
So to start quick kicks today, we've got Chris Richards, who's back from injury and played the full second half for Hoffenheim in their unfortunate 2-1 loss to Bochum. So not the best result, but hey, it was good to see Chris Richards back on the pitch.
Yeah, it's always important, Austin, right? Back on the pitch. And heading over to Heracles, right, with Luca de la Torre. I started to play the full 90 in a 2-0 win. So great to see him still picking up game time, doing his thing.
Yeah, that's good to see. And going over to Germany again, we have Gio Reyna, who subbed on and played the final 16 minutes for Dortmund in their 4-1 loss to Leipzig.
It's a tough loss.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going over to Belgium with Brian Reynolds, who started and played the full 90 for KV Kortrijk, and their tough 3-2 loss.
And a quick update on Richie Ledezma over at PSV. Actually started, played 73 minutes, and scored a goal for young PSV in their 2-2 draw.
Nice. That's great to hear. And heading over to Spain, Shaq Moore in Tenerife, subbed on in the 68th minute in a 1-1 draw.
Nice. And going over to France, we have Eric Palmer-Brown, who subbed on for an injury. He subbed on, I think, in the 30th minute, but then was subbed off in the 83rd minute. So played 53 minutes total in Troy's 1-0 win over the weekend.
It's an interesting kind of timestamp there. That's interesting. But Pefok, heading over to Switzerland, started and played the full 90 in a 2-2 draw against Basel.
Nice. And I have a quick update. Ledezma actually had an assist. He didn't score a goal. So my mistake there.
Well, hey, that's
correct it.
That's good too.
And going over to Germany again, we've got Ricardo Pepi, who started again, played 89 minutes for Augsburg, and their big 3-0 win over Wolfsburg. So good to see them get a good result. Again, see Pepi get a start was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome to see back starting. And last but not least, Mark McKenzie over in Belgium earned his first start since February 20th. So that's great too. Helping Genk defeat Eupen 5-0. So McKenzie also completed 90% of his passes and just dominated the game. So it's great to see him getting game time.
Well, that's it for our episode today, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
Don't forget, I shouldn't have to say this, guy. No, I'm just kidding. Instagram, Twitter. You guys are already checking it out, but just make sure to follow, right? Like, share with your friends, right? All that content we're putting out, especially now that we qualify for the World Cup.
That's right. And we also have, our merch store. So check out the link in the bio. Got some new designs we're hoping to drop this summer. And just check us out there.
Yeah, we got the fantastic designer there on the other screen. Some great shirts coming for you guys. So stay on the lookout. And again, if you're not able to catch our YouTube video, podcast, right? Spotify, Apple, all those platforms, right? Listen to us too. And of course, when you get home, check us out on YouTube.
That's right. And it's just, again, we always say it every week, right? A great time, in U.S. soccer right now. Just, again, progressing, getting better each week, right? Finally securing a World Cup berth. And, Yeah, just, good positive week, and looking forward to, the rest of the club season. Things feel a little bit more relaxed now, right? We're not so, anxious like we were last week, leading into that final World Cup
Yeah.
window. And life is good, Pat, right?
Yeah, life is good. You can kind of take a deep breath, right? A little disappointing with that last game, but hey, it's a journey, right? And awesome that journey, right, will end with one thing.
That's right. And that is, one day we will win the World Cup.